borders have reopened and it's time to travel. In this episode of CNA Correspondent, I'll take you with me to Cambodia, the current ASEAN chair and host of next year's SEA Games, to see how the country is trying to boost tourism for itself and within the region. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts.
The travel bug is back again. With COVID-19 under control, memories of empty airports at the height of the pandemic are fading. Grounded planes now taking to the skies.
Welcome to Phnom Penh, ladies and gentlemen.
Cambodia seized the moment. It was the first Southeast Asian country to fully reopen its borders last November and drop all testing requirements for vaccinated travellers in March. It's even speeding up work on a new airport in Phnom Penh, which will be one of the world's largest when completed. For now, most international arrivals enter through the current Phnom Penh airport. I meet its general manager, Laurence Herbs, to find out about how it screens for COVID-19, especially with a new wave of infections emerging.
What is in place is the thermoscan. It's placed at all times, so it means that the officials from AOH can follow and make sure that there is no passenger having fever.
Besides body temperature, staff also check for other symptoms: coughing, sniffing, and more recently, rashes with monkeypox surfacing.
We have isolated room. We also have a process for the ambulance to exit the airport without crossing the arrival area again.
Cambodia's openness and ease of travel show how badly it wants tourists back at its sites. The country is one of Southeast Asia's most impoverished and relies the most on tourism in the region. The sector contributes as much as a quarter to its GDP. But all that is at a standstill, with international arrivals down by 80% in 2020 and another 85% in 2021. The winds are changing though. The government sketched out a master plan to get foreign visitors back to pre-pandemic levels in 3 years. Visitors come mostly for Cambodia's famous temples. But the country will develop and market new attractions that appeal to their taste and get them to stay longer and spend more. I'm meeting a local tour operator in Phnom Penh who wants to sell Cambodia as a place for good food.
Can I get you to order one of each?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I always over order. That's the way to go.
You can eat all? The airport. So the authorities should be involved in this. Okay, bring all the local food which can be promoted once they are arriving. So you can give them a test.
Vandy takes me on a quick tour around Phnom Penh. He hardly did any of these in the past 2 years.
We all also suffer on that pandemic because, before I have 3 offices, over 50 staff. During the COVID, I have only around 20 staff.
Vandy's business pulled through with government help like tax breaks for the tourism sector. And is hiring again as business travelers and small family groups cautiously return. Cambodia is expecting about 1 million visitors from abroad this year. And things are likely to pick up next year during the SEA Games. But the country is still missing one key market: China, which used to make up nearly 40% of visitors, many big spenders. Its people aren't travelling still due to China's zero-COVID policy.
So hope in the next few years, the tourists from China and from Korea, from Japan will be coming in once they are open freely.
Instead, Cambodia is promoting more travel within ASEAN, a regional bloc that it's chairing this year. Flights to neighboring countries were among the first to be restored. It's also banking that health-conscious travelers will be drawn to its COVID-19 track record and stellar vaccination rate, one of the world's highest.
Nearly 94% of 16 million population got vaccine. With this one, that's why Cambodia can reopen the country. You see? Yeah. And the situation is getting better until now.
Still, it's a waiting game even in Phnom Penh, a big city with more diverse sectors and job opportunities. Prospects are dimmer for those living in regions where tourism is the backbone.
When we come back, I'll take you from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap, home to the kingdom's crown jewel, Angkor Wat.
The world's largest religious monument and Cambodia's biggest tourist draw.
This is Angkor Wat.
Inside this temple city lie the remnants of the once mighty Khmer Empire, which dates back to the 9th century. The sprawling 163-hectare site is an imposing sight and almost unrecognizable without the usual crowds. From a peak of 8,000 visitors daily before the pandemic, only a quarter are back. The pandemic laid waste to its tourism sector and in turn, the fortunes of those who built their lives around it. This band of musicians is made up of landmine survivors. They've been playing to the crowds at Angkor Wat for 25 years. But they're now again fighting for survival. The musicians are given a spot here to perform. It's how Angkor Wat helps its community to eke out a living. I take a tour of the grounds with my guide Long Kosa, who works for the authority managing this World Heritage Site. He tells me the locals are an intrinsic part of the Angkor Wat experience whom they're determined to support.
We're talking about the intangible heritage, the values that embedded with the people living in Angkor. The story of the people that live in this area is also part of the attraction. So we would like to maintain that.
Preserving the crumbling ruins and grounds is a mammoth task that takes more than 4,000 people. Even when visitors are scarce, I'm told none were laid off. Instead, they're being tasked to revitalize the site during COVID-19.
Prior to the pandemic, we have seen a lot of visitors coming all around the world and roaming around the temple, and there was no time for the temple to rest. One of the improvements that we made, we have installed the sprinkler system so that we can watering the grass, during the dry season as well. So it's all green.
From a more organized entrance area to new pathways to improve crowd flow and wheelchair accessibility. The site is laying the groundwork to welcome a new wave of tourists it badly needs in the wake of COVID-19.
No.
I met this Dutch couple in Angkor Wat. They traveled to Cambodia partly because it was one of the first to reopen its borders. But they say things feel different now.
We do see a lot of things that are empty or closed. I miss the interaction you really easily got. Yeah.
But on the other side, it makes scenery way more beautiful, right?
Yeah,
Less crowded, less cameras.
yeah, that's true.
This post-COVID breed of travelers is game to take the path less trodden. And Cambodia sees this as a chance to promote authentic experiences that support local communities. Like bird watching, homestays, and village tours. Roha village, about 8 kilometers from Angkor Wat, hopes to drum up interest among tourists. 20 of the 400 families living here are artisans who painstakingly build local music instruments by hand. Watching them at work is a way to gain insight into local culture and bring back a meaningful keepsake.
ក្លឹបគិតតែគេចង់ឲ្យគេជួយខាងកាយខាងអីគិតមកនាំភៀងឲ្យមកលេងហ្នឹងយើងចង់ឲ្យគាត់ជួយដែរប៉ុន្តែយើងអត់ដឹងថាតាក់ទងគាត់តាមរបៀបម៉េចព្រោះយើងវាដូចថាយើងលក់ដូរទៅនៅតាមម្ដងផ្លូវទៅយើងពិបាកតាក់ទងខាងគាត់ប្រកិនរវល់ខាងទេសចរគាត់ផងវាខ្ញុំចង់តាក់ទងដើម្បីផ្សព្វផ្សាយពីផលិតផលរបស់ខ្ញុំ
Authorities believe they'll hit the right note with visitors and are now weaving villages like theirs onto the tourist map. Artisans are even given stalls to showcase their craft over at Srasrang North Village, which will be linked to Angkor Wat through ox cart tours. In a country where 2.8 million people live below the poverty line, it's no surprise locals are ready to welcome outsiders. But for now, their excitement far outpaces the return of travelers to the country. The villages remain idyllic, a hidden gem to outsiders waiting for a claim to fame. This is Tonle Sap, Southeast Asia's largest freshwater lake and the lifeblood of Cambodia. During monsoon season, it swells and floods the rice fields and lush forests, fertilizing the land and sustaining a population of more than 80,000 who mostly live off its fish. The lake is slowly drying up. And so too is valuable income for its people who are among the country's poorest. They're looking for a new source of life: tourism. The floating village of Kampong Pluk was among the first to test the waters. About 10 families here opened their doors for homestays. I'm here to stay with Kia, one of the pioneers who's been running her homestay and boat tours for almost 15 years.
Just in time for lunch.
Her family of 4 offers a slice of local life in surroundings teeming with biodiversity.
គឺថាអភិវឌ្ឍទៅមុខបានរីកចម្រើនកើនមួយឆ្នាំហើយមួយឆ្នាំទៀតខ្ញុំបានធូរបានបណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលកូនឲ្យបានដល់រៀនចប់បានលុយពីភ្ញៀវមកខ្ញុំបង្កើតមុខរបរខ្ញុំទាំងអស់រួចហើយខ្ញុំបន្តធ្វើផ្ទះរួចហើយខ្ញុំបន្តទិញដីឲ្យកូន
But the empty halls show the impact of COVID-19. Her guest numbers are down to just 10%. That's why she opened a provision shop, while also running a fish farm and business selling smoked fish. But even when she fills her days and pockets, her life feels hollow at times.
ប៉ុន្តែកូនមើលដូចថាម៉ែធ្វើនេះគឺម៉ែដឹងតែម៉ែហត់ប៉ុន្តែចំណូលកូនអត់ចូលចិត្តដូចថាឃើញហត់ពេកនិយាយទៅអន់ចិត្តខ្លួនឯងដែរនិយាយថាអត់បានថែរក្សាកូនឡើយតែខំប្រឹងរកដើម្បីថាបានចំណូលប្រាក់ឲ្យកូនចាយគឺថាអត់បាននិយាយថាផ្ដល់កម្លាំងចិត្តឲ្យកូនប៉ុន្តែបានថែរក្សាកូនដូចបានដិតដល់ទិលដៃ
The hard-working community of about 1,000 families is still grappling with how they can pull themselves out of poverty. There's a risk its appeal as a backwater travel destination could fade as droughts, the building of dams, and overfishing decimate wildlife and disrupt traditional livelihoods. Restrictions on where nets can be placed are now imposed for 4 months each year so fish stocks in Tonle can recover. Fishermen try to stay afloat with side jobs harvesting shrimp and ferrying tourists. Those living off nature are at the mercy of the ebb and flow of the tide. Cambodia's rich natural resources are ripe for ecotourism. But the pristine forests are being lost to logging, their fragile ecosystems near the limit. Mount Kulen near Siem Reap is a day tripper's paradise. It's a sanctuary for biodiversity and intrepid travelers who come to soak up what nature has to offer. Demdara's family lives 10 hours away, and they made the road trip just for the waterfalls. More Cambodians are answering the call of the wild in their own backyard. 500,000 visitors jostled for space at nature attractions last year with borders still mostly closed. That's about 50% more than the 2 years before. But signs of strain can be seen.
The downside of having tourists to places like this is the amount of rubbish that they can potentially churn out. I mean, there are food wrappers here, there's a plastic glove here, and it's not too far from this dustbin that are situated around the park.
Cambodia wants to turn nature tourism into big business as it exits from the pandemic. And authorities believe it can reduce pressure on the environment by discouraging locals from exploiting natural resources. Here at Mount Kulen, only about a fifth of its forest is still standing. The rest was lost to illegal logging and slash-and-burn agriculture.
If we don't provide them the job, the new choice, the people, the local people living around the protected area, they depend on the forest to make sure that we protect with efficiency our remaining resource. That is to disconnect the depending of the people on the forest.
I meet Keat, who sells grilled meats. She buys the meat from families living in the area. Some were given livestock to rear from the authorities. Keat also grows cashew nuts in her backyard. She takes me on a tour around her 7-hectare plantation and shows me how easy they are to harvest. Villagers on the mountain are encouraged to turn to small-scale farming and sell local produce to tourists and middlemen. It's paid off for Keat, who makes $5,000 a year from her plantation.
តែក៏កាប់មកបងក៏ដាំទៅកាប់ពីបោះក៏ដាំទៅដល់ពេលដាំអស់ឈប់មានកន្លែងដាំស្រូវតែក៏ថែតែចន្ទទីហ្នឹងយកលុយចន្ទទីហ្នឹងក៏ទិញក៏ហូបទៅ
But as lush forests give way to cashew nut farms, the ecological balance is being upset. And this has downstream impact.
ដំបូងយើងមកព្រៃនៅច្រើនតិចស្រួលរស់នៅចាសូម្បីយើងទៅកេងកន្លែងណាក៏រកភួយដែរចានៅក្នុងផ្ទះយើងក៏ត្រូវការភួយតែឥឡូវទៅចូលដល់លើផ្ទះបិទទ្វារក៏ក្តៅហ្មងជ្រោះយើងចង់ដាច់អីតាអាឆ្នាំប្រហែលជា2ឆ្នាំមុនអីចង់ដាច់ដោយសារអស់ព្រៃ
Mount Kulen is the source of water for the Siem Reap region. Usually, the mountain acts as a kind of natural sponge that regulates the flow of rainwater and holds water for the dry season. Locals are assigned areas to tap the mountain water. And this villager has come up with a simple filtration system. The amount of water here is enough for this villager's family to clean, shower, cook and drink. But nature is sounding a warning that it can only give so much, and development can only go as far as it can cope. Tourism could further deplete finite resources. As Cambodia woos travelers closer to once untouched lands, it will have to navigate a delicate balance to ensure the survival of nature and its people.